Hello friends, welcome to the tutorial of ASP.NET MVC 5. In this video, we are going to study jQuery events. In last video, I covered jQuery methods and at that time I introduced a click event of a button element. This video will cover events in detail. So let us see what is an event. So all the visitors' action that a web page can respond to are called event. For example, if your visitor's action is clicking on button, so click is an event. Okay, suppose visitor's action is to enter a data in a text, so key press is an event. Okay, so an event represents the precise moment when something happens, and the jQuery library provides methods to handle DOM events. Okay, so most jQuery methods corresponds to native DOM events. So basically in jQuery all the events are represented by a methods, unlike in JavaScript. In JavaScript we used to write an event specifically, that is on click, then on key press, on mouse down, etc, etc, and it is written along with your HTML tag. It is represented in the form of attributes. Okay, and I'm going to show you that part practically also. So let us see the commonly used jQuery event methods. So the first one we use frequently, that is document.ready. So basically it is also an event, but it is represented in the form of method, and it allows us to execute a function when the document is fully loaded. Similarly, the click method attaches an event handler to an HTML element, and the double click also work in the same way. So let us see one more interesting object in event. It is itself called as event object. So jQuery passes an event object to every event handler function. Okay, so you may use it or you may do not use it, but suppose you want to use it, you definitely get some important properties and method for cross-browser consistency. Okay, and here I included some common event properties, and definitely there are more than these properties, but here I covered only the most frequently used properties. So the first one is target, which gives you the element that initiated the event, which is nothing but a HTML element that initiated an event. Page X and page Y gives the mouse position related to the left and top edge of the document. Now which property will gives you the key or the mouse button that you have pressed. So if you are working with a keyboard, then it will gives you the key that you have pressed, and if you are working with a mouse, it will gives you the mouse button that you have pressed. Type will describe the nature of event, means it will gives you which kind of event has occurred, like whether click event is occurred or double click event is occurred, key press event is occurred, like that. Prevent default will cancel the triggered event. See, the default action of the event will not be triggered. Suppose in many situations we need to cancel the event. In that case, you will use prevent default method. Now we already studied this keyword, but here along with the event we use this keyword more frequently. And what it represents in event handler, it represents the DOM element which raises an event. Now let us see the events that we are going to study in this video. So here we are going to study the bind event. Sorry, not bind event, actually it is a bind method, and what it does, it attaches a handler to an event for the element. Means basically, suppose you want to attach any event to your DOM element, bind method is used. Basically there are specific methods for a corresponding event also. Means there is a click method for click event, double click method for double click event, key press method for key press event. But still, suppose you want to bind a specific event to a specific DOM element, in that case you can use bind method. Now delegate and on are such two methods that attaches an event to an element that is generated dynamically. Dynamically means what? The element that is generated at runtime. See, bind has no capability to attach an event to a DOM element which is generated at runtime, but with the help of delegate and on, we can attach a event handler function to our dynamic DOM element. Okay, so delegate is actually, you can say, it is the old method, whereas on is new, it is available in the new version. Okay, so if you are working with a new jQuery library, then I'll suggest you to go for on method, and if you are using the older library, then you should be aware with a delegate method. So both are, you can say, both are alternative to each other. You can use any one of this. In many cases we need to unbind the event. Okay, so to remove the previously attached event, we used unbind and undelegate method. So let us see this part practically. So here I already created one events action method. Okay, and I added event view also. So as you can see here, there are two div tag, and I specified a ID for that. First div is container1, second div is container2. Okay, and both the div has one button tag. Okay, now let us see this part in browser, and one text box is also there. So basically what we are going to do, with the help of bind, on and delegate, we are generating a same button. Means whenever I click on this button, a same kind of button will appear here. Whenever I click on this green button, a same kind of button will appear in front of it. Okay, so basically we want to generate a same HTML element on the click of that button. Okay, so definitely we need a click event, but instead of using a click method, we are going to do it using a bind method. Okay, so here I added a reference of jQuery file, as you can see it here. So basically it is added to get an IntelliSense for jQuery methods. So as I told you that practically do not go for this approach, means for real project do not go for this approach, but if you are doing a practice, in that case you can add a reference of this, because the reference of this file is already there in your layout view. So in that case go for section, and I already explained the concept of section for this in jQuery introductory video. Okay, now in the next script tag I added a document.ready event, and in that we are going to perform our actions or perform our code. So let us write a code for a button and on its click event, so that will generate a same kind of button like it. Okay, now as you can see here, there are two buttons, button 1 and button 2. So instead of writing a two different event or two different code, what will I do? I'll write a selector for class. Okay, as you can see here, both the buttons have common class, that is btn. So I'll use a class selector. So class selector will give me both of this button, and I'll write a single event for this. So let us write a code. So for class selector I have to use dot, and I want to select it on btn class selector. So next is use a bind method, and to that bind method I have to specify the click event. Okay, means to the bind method you have to specify which event you want to attach to your element, and if that event occurs, what kind of functionality you want to perform. You will specify it in the form of anonymous function. Okay, you can create a separate function and specify that function also. Okay, but here I'll go for anonymous function. Now here when I click on this button, what I want to do, I want to create a same element and I want to append it to its container. So what is the container of this button? The container of this button is what? Div tag. Okay, so first of all what will I do? I'll create a string for that. So str is equal to, so let me copy this part so there will be no mistakes. Okay, so it will generate exactly same button, and let me add this string to this button's container. Okay, so here we are going to use this keyword. So this keyword means what? The DOM element which has raised this event. Then I'll take a parent of this. So there is a parent method available in jQuery. So the parent will give me this div, whatever button I have clicked. Whether this button is clicked, then this div will be get, and if this button is clicked, I will get this div. So parent will depend on the button that I have clicked. Now to that parent I want to append this string, that is str, that we created. Okay, now let us run this. Let me refresh this part. See, now let me click here. So what is happening here? Basically, which string I have created? I created this string, and in that I apply the class btn warning. So due to this btn warning, what happened? When I click on this button, okay, the button in upper div get created because I specified this code. So here what I have to do? I have to observe that which button I clicked. If I click first button, then generate this string, and if I click the another button or second button, in that case generate another string. So first of all I have to determine the ID of my button. Okay, so how to get an ID of that button? So basically with the help of this keyword you will get a DOM element that raises this event, and it has one prop method. So prop method will gives you the value of a specified property or value of a specified attribute. So I want to determine the value of ID property or value of ID attribute. So if it is equal to btn1, if it is equal to btn1, then I want to generate this button, and if it is btn2, then I want to generate this button. So str is equal to this. So I hope you got this. So I just generated two string where I determine the button's ID, and according to that I assign a string, and I appended that string to the parent of a button. So let us run this now. Now look at here, it is generating it properly. So basically we wrote a code on class selector, and both the button have a same class. Due to this the bind event get applied to both the button. Now what will I do? I'll click on this button. See, these buttons are generated dynamically at runtime, and these buttons are already present. So my bind event will attach, not bind event, my bind method attach an event to static element only. It cannot attach an event to dynamically generated element. Okay, so next we will study how to attach an event to dynamically generated element. Okay, so for that we are going to use on or delegate. As I said, both are alternative to each other. Now let us comment this part. So whenever you are working with a delegate or on to attach an event to dynamically generated element, you have to specify the element's container. Okay, then only you can work with it. So here suppose I want to attach an event for dynamically generated element of this div. So I have to specify the container. So what is the container of this button? The container of this button is container1. Okay, so here I'll say dollar, then hash, because here I'm going to use ID selector. So container1, right? Now here I'll say delegate, then after you have to specify the selector. So you want to apply or you want to attach an event to this button class element. So I'll specify this class selector dot btn. Then next you have to specify the event, means to this button class, to this button element, I want to apply which event? I want to apply the click event. And when this click event raises, which function I want to execute? Oh, this part will appear here. Okay. Now here I do not need to check a ID and all, because we are working with a single container only. Okay, it is unlike this program. Here what we did, our two classes, our two buttons get attached with the event, but here we are working with a single container only. Okay, so definitely we are going to generate a single button of a class btn warning, so there is no need to check a ID of it. Now we generated a string and then we appended it to the parent of a button. So here instead of this dot parent, what you can say? You can say dollar container1 dot append str. So both are valid, you can use any one. Now you know the container. Okay, in that case it is not necessary to use this part, so I just specified it, so you can use it in either way. Okay, now let us write a code using on. Okay, so or before that, what we will do, we will check this part first, so whether it works for dynamic element or not. See, we wrote it for this one. Look at here. Now my click event get attached to dynamically generated element also. So whenever I click on this, the new button gets generated. In case of bind, what happens? The click event works with static element only. Okay, now let us try the same thing using on event. So for on event also we need a container exactly like a delegate. So here we will write it for container2. Okay, so container2 dot on. Now to on event we have to specify the event first. To on method we have to specify the event first. So click event to which selector? So dot btn. Now then after you have to specify the function that you want to execute. I want to execute the same function. I want to generate a same button and I want to attach the event to that button also. So let me copy this part. Okay, and let us add this string or append this string to its parent. Okay, that's it. Code is going to be same, just we are going to do it using different way. Now let us refresh this part and let us check it. So let us try for this. See, it is working. So it is working with dynamic element also. So what we studied here, whenever you want to attach an event to dynamically generated element, you have to use on method or delegate method. Whereas if you want to attach an event to a static element, in that case you can go for bind or you can go for specific events like click, double click, etc, etc. Now for programmer, this situation arises very frequently because we use Ajax call and everything, and at that time our HTML get dynamically generated like this. Okay, and we want to attach an event to dynamically generated element. So for that we need to know this kind of events. Okay, now let us have a demo on event object. Okay, so here as you can see there is one text box. Now what I want to do, I want to discard the alphabets and special symbol from this text box. What I want to do, I want to just allow the user to enter numbers only. If user enter other than number data, it should cancel that event. Okay, so basically we are going to use key down event. Okay, so there is key press event, there is key up event, and there is key down event also. So what is the difference between key up and key down? Key up event raises whenever you presses the key, whereas I told you wrong. key down event raises whenever you presses the key, whereas key up event raises whenever you releases the key. After pressing, whenever you releases the key. So in key down, what happens? Your character is not printed in your text box, whereas in key up event your character get printed. So what we want to do, we want to detect or determine whether character is number or not. Okay, and since in key down event, since character is not printed yet, we can cancel it. But if you write a same code in key up event, then what happens? Your character is already printed. Then after you cannot cancel it. That's why we choose key down event. Okay, so here as you can see, there is already a text box and the name of ID of text box is txt num. Okay, now here I am going to use id selector. So dollar hash txt num. Okay, and here I am going to use key down event, and when this key down event raises, I want to execute a function, and this time I am going to use the event object. See, basically it is available to all the events, but for these 3 events we didn't use it, but here it is very much necessary to determine which key has been pressed. So for that we need to use event object. Now here we are going to use which property. Okay, so here what will I do? First of all, I'll just use alert to show you the keys that I have pressed. See, now I pressed A. Okay, let me refresh the page. See, now I pressed A. Look at here, 65 is displayed. Now I press 0, 48 displayed. Now I press the 0 of numeric keypad, 96 is displayed. Now I press a 9, 57 get displayed. So whenever I press a 9 of numeric keypad, it shows 105. Okay, so what we have to do, using this which property, we have to determine the ASCII values. Okay, now I am pressing a backspace. So what is the ASCII value of backspace? 8. So we are going to write a code to discard the key. So here our code will be something like this. See, if event dot which is less than 48, less than 48 means the ASCII value is below 0, or event dot which is greater than 57 means its ASCII value is greater than 9. So in that case it is what? It is invalid key, right? Now similarly I have to check for numeric keypad also. So for numeric keypad the ASCII value is from 95 to 106. Let us check it. So for 9 it is 105, and for 0 it is 96. So I have to check whether it is within this range or not. So what code I have to write? Event dot which is less than 96, or event dot which is greater than 105 means its value is below 0 or greater than 9. Similarly, we want to check it for backspace also. So if it is not backspace, event dot which is not equal to backspace. In that case, we want to cancel the event. So what you will say? I already told you the prevent default method. So if this method is called, the default action of the event will not be triggered, means event get cancelled. So we are writing a code to cancel an event. Remember this thing. That's why I check for this condition, means if it is not backspace, if it is not within this range, if it is not within this range, then we want to cancel the event. So Let us check this. Let me refresh the page first. Okay, let me hit the enter key. Now here I am pressing G, A. It is not working. I am pressing alphabets. Now let me enter the numbers. Yes, it is working. Now I am pressing the numeric keypad. It is working. Okay. Even backspace is also working. So here we saw the use of event object and its property like which and the prevent default method. Okay. So here I done with a jQuery part. Okay, so whatever necessary for a developer I try to cover here, but still if you have any doubt you can write it into the comment section. Okay, but I think this part is very much sufficient for a developer and you will get an idea of how to use a jQuery, and definitely you can write a code yourself. Okay, so thank you, and in next video we'll see the new topic in MVC. Thank you very much.